Page 229, amendments proposed by the Rhode Island Convention, March 6, 1790. Amendments proposed by the Rhode Island Convention. The most important amendments proposed by the Rhode Island Convention were the following 7. The most important amendments proposed by the Rhode Island Convention were the following 7. That the powers of government may be reassumed by the people whensoever it shall become necessary to their happiness. Just their happiness. Colorado Constitution says your happiness and your safety. Article 2, Section 2. The right to revolution. The right to revolution. That the rights of the states respectively to nominate and appoint all state officers and every other power, jurisdiction, and right which is not by the said Constitution clearly delegated to the Congress of the United States or to the departments of government thereof, remain to the people of the several states, or the respective state governments to whom they may have granted the same. And that those clauses in the said Constitution which declare that Congress shall not have or exercise certain powers do not imply that Congress, that the legislative branch, that the United States legislative branch is entitled to any powers not given by the said Constitution, but such clauses are to be construed either as exceptions to certain specified powers or as inserted merely for greater caution. 6. That elections of representatives in the legislature ought to be free and frequent, and all men having sufficient evidence of permanent common interest with an attachment to the community ought to have the right of suffrage, and no aid charge, tax, or fee can be set, rated, or levied upon the people without their own consent and that of their representatives so elected, nor can they be bound by any law to which they have not in like manner assented for the public good. In cases of direct taxes, Congress shall first make requisitions on the several states to assess, levy, and pay their respective proportions of such requisitions in such way and manner as the legislatures of the several states shall judge best, and in case any state shall neglect or refuse to pay its proportion pursuant to such requisition, then Congress may assess and levy such states' proportion together with interest at the rate of 6% per annum from the time prescribed to such requisition. So what do we learn? What is this? What the hell is going on? March 6, 1790. So these are amendments proposed by the Rhode Island Convention. We have the U.S. Constitution. Everybody's right in 1788. This is 2 years later. So we've already passed the Constitution, and now this Rhode Island Convention is saying we need a couple amendments, okay? This so-called Constitution you got here, it's a bit crap, and we need to fix it, okay? We need to fix it. So carrying on, 12. As standing armies in time of peace are dangerous to liberty and not to be kept up except in cases of necessity, and as at all times the military should be under strict subordination to the civil power, that therefore no standing army or regular troops shall be raised or kept up in time of peace. That happens over and over again. That was in the English Civil War. That's like the Protestants, right? That's a Protestant thing. We have a right to bear arms and keep your fucking standing armies down because that's going to be the enemy of the people. The right to bear arms comes from the Bill of Rights, the English Bill of Rights, that no monies be borrowed on the credit of the United States without the assent of 2/3 of the senators and representatives present in each house. Why don't we have that amendment? I like that amendment a lot. These are really good amendments. It's just fucking 7 amendments, and this came in 1790. And we just came up with the fucking crap Bill of Rights that we got. What about all these other? That the Congress shall not declare war without the concurrence of 2/3 of the senators and representatives present in each house. Congress has the power to declare war, and only Congress has the power to declare war. that would be a good amendment to make 2/3 of the senators and representatives to vote yes before we go to war. As a traffic tending to establish or continue the slavery of any part of the human species is disgraceful to the cause of liberty and humanity, that Congress shall, as soon as may be, promote and establish such laws and regulations as may effectually prevent the importation of slaves of every description into the United States. Hell yeah. Let's banish fucking slavery. Let's get rid of war. Let's get rid of slavery. Let's not borrow credit. Let's not borrow money on credit of the United States without at least 2/3 of the senators and 2/3 of the House. Get rid of standing armies. Let's keep a couple of standing armies, but I do like the idea of being Minutemen. Give every American a gun, or at least a shotgun. Give every American the bare minimum of the guns you're allowed to have: a shotgun and a pistol. And you can sell them if you don't like it. A shotgun, a pistol, and a rifle. At the bare minimum, every American has a right to own those 3 guns. That's the floor. I believe that's the floor, too. That's the Minutemen, having the American people stand up for themselves, having the people be armed. The people is the militia, and by having militias, isn't the Second Amendment presuming that we're going to not only defend ourselves, but our communities as well? So, yeah, standing armies, I see the historical reason for that. It's also the soldiers can't be quartered in our house. The Third Amendment prevents soldiers from taking over our houses. I think that's why I really love the troops. The troops go overseas. They fight for us. Whether, they do what the president says, so they enforce America's policy. And since they're not allowed to take us over, they're not allowed to really make any arrest they don't have any police powers, right? They're just a citizen with no police powers here. But all the police powers, I guess, that can be assumed by America all across the world. What's not to like about the troops? During the Watch riots, it was the troops that checked the police. The troops got used to actually fighting for the people of America, and then they come back and they're like, what the hell's going on? No, I go out there and fucking risk my goddamn neck for this shit. And then once you risk your neck on, then you've won citizenship, right? Then not only are you won a kind of a certain manhood, and you're kind of a step above everybody else in the community, right? You're a veteran. You risked your behind for not just your own, but for everybody. So that's thank you, right? And then with everybody, that's how we support the troops. We just say thank you. Hey, thank you for your service. Cool. You want to buy me a meal, a lunch? No, I just want to say thank you for your service. And look, I wave a little flag. Isn't that good enough? Just 4 for $10 Arby's. There's a deal. Do you need some? I'll give you $10. You go buy it yourself. What about tax? You'll have to figure that part out yourself. You're just going to give me $10? Motherfucker. I remember when I was younger, there was this guy. I was on the bus. He's like 2 or 3 years older than me. There's a White House. There was like a big White House right there at Markland Dam. It might still be there. There's a big White House, and then there was a barn, and it had like all their names on the barn. They would be picked up by the bus, and the guy had sat with me one time, and I had, I don't know, a fucking bag of Skittles or something. I was going to save my bag of Skittles for later. And then when he saw that I had it, he goes, can I have some? And I was like, no. And he goes, what are you, selfish? It just made me think, like, fucking shit. Language is a motherfucker, isn't it? I'm not fucking selfish, motherfucker. You're the selfish one. You saw that somebody else had something that you didn't have, and immediately you just want to take it out of my hands. You motherfucker. You motherfucker. So fuck slavery, fuck war, fuck money, and money's being borrowed on the credit of the United States without 2/3 of the senators and the representatives of each house. We should have done all these. These are really good amendments. The Rhode Island Convention. The Rhode Island Convention. The Rhode Island Convention. The